Lucas Hayes barely glanced up from his laptop when the door to his office swung open. He didn't need to look to know who it was. "This better be important." His voice was clipped, fingers flying over the keyboard. Interruptions were a nuisance, and with a billion-dollar financial empire to manage, his time was far too valuable. His assistant, Jenna, cleared her throat. "Your new executive assistant is here." Lucas exhaled sharply, finally looking up. He didn't particularly care who had been hired, only that they were competent enough to keep up. "Fine, send her in." The door opened, and the moment Amelia Carter stepped inside, Lucas felt like the air had been knocked from his lungs. A jolt of recognition surged through him. Those deep brown eyes framed by thick lashes, the soft waves of chestnut hair, that hesitant yet warm smile. It couldn't be, it wasn't possible. But it was her. Memories slammed into him. Endless summer afternoons, laughter ringing from treehouses, whispered secrets beneath a sky full of stars. Lucas swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "Amelia?" Her smile faltered, confusion flickering in her gaze. "Lucas? You're my boss?" He shot up from his seat so fast that his chair crashed against the floor, the sharp sound cutting through the room. Amelia Carter, his first everything, his best friend, the girl he had sworn at 12 years old that he would never forget. And now she was standing in his office? And Lucas knew with absolute certainty he was completely unprepared for this. Lucas had thought that after the initial shock, he would be able to regain his composure and get back to business as usual. He was wrong. Working with Amelia wasn't difficult, at least not in the way he had expected. She was sharp, efficient, and had an uncanny ability to anticipate his needs before he even voiced them. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was the way she bit her lip in concentration, the way she absent-mindedly tucked her hair behind her ear, the way she looked at him, not as the powerful CEO, but as the same Lucas she had once known. One afternoon, Amelia set a cup of coffee on his desk without him asking. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "You remember how I take my coffee?" She smirked. "Black, no sugar, just like when you were 15 trying to act all grown up." Lucas chuckled. She remembered. But it wasn't just the light-hearted moments. One evening, when he was drowning in work, Amelia crossed her arms and stared at him. "You're overworking yourself." Lucas arched a brow. "You've been here less than a week, and you're already giving me orders?" She shrugged. "Lucas, I knew you when you ate way too much candy and refused to wear matching socks. Do you really think CEO Lucas Hayes intimidates me?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "Point taken." She leaned against his desk, amusement dancing in her eyes. "So, do you still eat too much candy?" Lucas grinned. "No. But the sock thing, still a problem." She laughed, the sound warm and familiar, like a forgotten melody playing again. But deep inside, Lucas knew the truth. Every glance, every fleeting touch, every effortless exchange, it was happening all over again. And this time, no matter how hard he tried, he wasn't sure he wanted to stop. The annual company gala was one of the most important nights of the year, a time for Lucas to reinforce his leadership in front of investors and high-profile partners. Amelia had handled all the logistics, ensuring that everything ran smoothly. But when she walked into his office an hour before the event, Lucas completely lost his ability to think. She wore a floor-length navy blue gown, the fabric clinging to her in a way that seemed almost unreal. The soft lighting danced along the delicate contours of her shoulders, the rich color making her skin glow like warm ivory. She wasn't just beautiful, she was captivating in a way that made Lucas forget the world around him. The soft lighting cast a glow over her skin, making her look almost unreal. Lucas forgot how to breathe. Amelia tilted her head, amusement flickering in her gaze. "You look surprised." He forced himself to regain composure, clearing his throat. You're coming to the gala." She crossed her arms, smirking. "Lucas, I organized half of this event. Did you really think I'd just stay home and hope it all went well?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "Right. I should have known." She stepped forward, adjusting the bracelet on her wrist. "Don't look so shocked." Besides, someone has to make sure you don't scare off the investors with your intimidating stares." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "I don't glare." Amelia laughed, her eyes twinkling. "Lucas, your neutral expression alone is enough to terrify half the board members." He couldn't help but chuckle, but the unease inside him didn't fade. At the gala, it became clear that Amelia didn't just manage events, she commanded rooms. She moved through the crowd with ease, charming investors who usually required months of negotiation and making even the most difficult clients laugh. And Lucas wasn't the only one who noticed. He overheard two executives whispering, "She's impressive. That's Lucas's assistant, right?" "Yeah, but did you see the way he looks at her? I wouldn't be surprised if something was going on." Lucas tightened his grip on his glass. The way he looked at her? Lucas's grip on his glass tightened, his jaw clenching. He forced himself to turn away, but the damage was done. Because now, for the first time, he had to admit it. Not just to himself, but to everyone who had been watching. Because if he acknowledged it, he'd have to admit the truth. That he wasn't just drawn to Amelia. He wanted her. And that terrified him more than any deal he'd ever made. After the gala, Lucas told himself that he could handle this. He had built billion-dollar deals from the ground up, forged an empire out of nothing. He wouldn't let something as trivial as emotions derail him. But he had severely overestimated himself. Day by day, Amelia's presence in his life became something he couldn't ignore. She wasn't just an exceptional assistant. She was the only person who could make him laugh effortlessly, the only one who understood him without him having to say a word. And the worst part? She had no idea. Their conversations remained lighthearted, their accidental touches still fleeting and seemingly meaningless. But Lucas knew better. They weren't meaningless, and he couldn't keep pretending they were. One night, as they worked late in his office, Amelia tapped on his desk, pulling him out of his endless numbers. "Lucas, you need a break." He smirked, shaking his head. "So do you." She sighed, leaning back in her chair. "Do you ever stop?" Lucas hesitated for a moment before exhaling. "I can't. Slowing down means losing control." Amelia studied him, her deep brown eyes thoughtful. "You used to talk about inventing something crazy when we were kids. A self-cleaning tree house? A robot to do your homework?" Lucas chuckled. "I had priorities." She laughed softly, but then tilted her head. "Do you ever miss that?" Lucas met her gaze, something heavy settling in his chest. No one had ever asked him that. No one had ever wondered if he still remembered the boy he used to be. Before he could respond, Amelia yawned, covering her mouth with her hand. Lucas immediately stood up. "That's it. You're done for the night." She blinked up at him. "But the work." "I'll finish it," he interrupted. "You need sleep." She hesitated, searching his face, as if looking for something. Then finally, she nodded. "All right, but don't stay up all night either." Lucas only smiled. He had already lost control a long time ago. Lucas walked into his office the next morning with a plan. He wasn't going to keep running from this. He was going to tell Amelia the truth, about everything. But when he opened the door, she was already there, standing with her back to him, gripping a piece of paper in her hands. The moment she heard his footsteps, she turned, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. "We need to talk." His pulse kicked up. "What is it?" She hesitated, then slowly handed him the paper. Lucas took it, scanning the contents. A job offer. A high-level position at a competing firm. His stomach turned to stone. "You're leaving?" His voice was lower than he intended. Amelia quickly shook her head. "I haven't accepted. I don't even know if I want to, but they made the offer last night and I thought you should know." Lucas clenched the paper, his voice measured. "Do you want to take it?" She hesitated. Then, quietly, "I don't know." He took a steadying breath, stepping closer. "If you're only staying out of loyalty, you deserve a better reason than that." Her eyes lifted to his, conflicted. "It's not just the job, Lucas." The silence between them was thick, charged. And then, finally, she exhaled shakily. I don't know if I can keep working for you. Lucas's heart clenched. Because of the job or because of this? He gestured between them. Amelia's fingers curled into fists. Because of this. Her voice softened. I don't know if I can keep pretending it's not there. Lucas didn't hesitate. He couldn't. He took another step closer, his voice steady. This. He swallowed hard, holding her gaze. Is me realizing that no matter how much I try, no matter how much I fight it, I can't spend another day pretending I don't feel something for you. Because I do, and I have for a long time. Amelia sucked in a breath. Lucas reached for her hand, holding it carefully. I spent years thinking I'd moved on, but I never did. And I don't want to pretend anymore. She didn't pull away. If anything, her fingers tightened around his, like she was holding on to something fragile. Her voice was barely a whisper. Lucas. He cupped her cheek, his thumb brushing against her skin. Tell me you don't feel this, and I'll let you go. I swear. Silence stretched between them. Then, at last, she exhaled. I do. A rush of relief surged through him, but she wasn't done. But I'm scared, she admitted. This job, this company, it's everything to you. If we risk this and it falls apart? Lucas shook his head. I don't care about the company more than I care about you. Amelia's eyes widened, something shifting in her expression. He held her tighter. I built an empire, but none of it matters without you. A sharp inhale. Then, finally, something inside her cracked. She surged forward, wrapping her arms around him. Lucas held her close, feeling something settle inside him for the first time in years. This time, he wasn't letting her go. Lucas had never been the type to hesitate. He made decisions quickly, decisively, with no second guessing. But as he held Amelia in his arms, he realized this was the first choice in years that truly mattered. Not a business deal, not a contract, but her. When Amelia finally pulled back, her gaze was still uncertain. Lucas? This changes everything. He nodded. I know. She bit her lip, considering. And if it doesn't work? Lucas didn't even flinch. Then at least we tried. But I'm not going to let fear stop me from going after what I want. Amelia took a deep breath, then gave a small nod. Okay. But she was still hesitant. I don't want people thinking I stayed just because of you. Lucas smirked, confidence creeping back into his voice. Do you realize you've bossed me around more than anyone in this company? A laugh escaped her, and for the first time that morning, the tension eased. Softer now, he said, I want you here, but if you'd be more comfortable in a different role, I'll make that happen. Or if you want to leave, I won't stop you. She studied him for a long moment, then finally whispered, I don't want to leave. Something inside Lucas unlocked. He laced his fingers with hers, gripping tightly, silently promising that this time he wasn't letting go. Amelia rarely talked about her family, and Lucas never pushed. But when she got a call from her parents, people she had been distant from for years, he knew it was serious. They wanted to see her. She sat on his couch, absent-mindedly swirling the wine in her glass. I don't know what they expect. We were never close, and they never really tried to reach out before. Lucas placed a hand over hers, giving it a reassuring squeeze. Do you want to see them? She was silent for a moment before sighing. I think I do, but I don't want to go alone. Lucas didn't even hesitate. I'll go with you. A flicker of relief crossed her face. She leaned her head against his shoulder, her breath a little unsteady. Thank you. That night, as they got ready to leave for the restaurant, Lucas took her hand in his gaze steady. Whatever happens, you're not facing it alone. She looked at him, and in that moment, Lucas knew she believed him. The restaurant had an air of refined elegance, candlelight flickering against the polished glass tabletops. As Amelia stepped inside, Lucas felt the subtle tension in her posture. Without a word, he slipped his hand into hers, a silent reassurance. I'm right here, he murmured. Her parents were already seated, poised and composed, their sharp gazes as familiar as ever. You're still in the city? Her mother's voice was calm, but there was a hint of scrutiny beneath it. Emilia sat down, her back stiff. Yes, I built my own career. Lucas observed her mother, a woman of impeccable presentation, a former senior executive before she retired. Her father, a highly successful businessman, remained silent, his eyes watchful, assessing everything. Emilia had told Lucas about them before, how they had mapped out her future before she even had a chance to decide for herself, how they expected her to follow the path they deemed worthy, and when she didn't, they let distance grow between them. It's been a long time since we've talked, her father finally spoke, breaking the silence, but we want to change that. Lucas felt Emilia's fingers tremble slightly under the table. He tightened his grip, his thumb grazing the back of her hand in a silent message. Breathe, I'm here. Why now? Emilia's voice was no longer defensive, just searching for understanding. Her mother exchanged a glance with her father before sighing. Because we've realized that time doesn't wait for anyone. Her father, however, remained silent for a moment before finally speaking, and because we want to know the woman our daughter has become. Lucas recognized the moment. The first time that evening their pride softened. He gave Emilia's hand another gentle squeeze, silently reminding her that no matter what happened next, she didn't have to face it alone. Months passed, and everything fell into place. Emilia's relationship with her parents was still complicated, but at least they were trying. She had found her own place in the company, not as Lucas's assistant, but as a capable professional in her own right. But for Lucas, the most important thing was that she was still by his side. One night, as they stood on his penthouse balcony, the city lights stretching endlessly before them, Lucas realized he didn't want to wait any longer. He turned to Emilia, his heart steady. I've spent my life building something solid, but I've realized the only thing I truly want in my future is you. She blinked, surprise flickering in her gaze. Lucas, are you? He dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring, the light catching on the gemstone. Stay with me. Forever. Emilia stared at him, eyes wide, her breath caught in her throat. Seconds passed, long, stretching moments, where Lucas's heart pounded against his ribs. And then, finally, she exhaled, a brilliant smile breaking across her face. Yes! Lucas slid the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms. This time, they weren't just each other's past. They were each other's future.